People. Yay, we're live. We're live, but we can't see each other. How is that? Are we live? Oh my God, this would really piss me off if we were not live.
Yes, we're live, but
We can't see each other. Okay, can somebody check? Could somebody please check LinkedIn and make sure that we are actually doing this? This would be really bad if we were not doing this. So, in any event, hi, I'm Lauren Greif from Portfolio Rocket, and this is Nick Richmeyer. And all you need to do is break that down, Richmeyer. And Nick, thank you so much for being here today. You are the founder and owner, thank you, Claire, of Culture Craft, a brand strategy agency. And you are here today because of your amazing unfilteredness. And just so anybody has not already read Nick's amazing posts on LinkedIn, get on that now. So please, in this action-packed half an hour, blast and a half, I want to start right in with, tell me a little bit about the things that candidates must do for getting hired in today's agencies that often don't do. So, I want to hear what is, the unfiltered insider tips on what needs to be done. And please have at it.
Yeah, I mean, I think I want to lay out just the reality of where we are, I think, in the hiring landscape. And I would say things have shifted substantially even in the last 6 months as it relates to the hiring world for creative work. Because we've been kind of hiring off and on throughout the pandemic is substantially different today than even it was 9 months ago. And the reality is there's a lot of people in a lot of positions, either in-house or who've done freelancing or whatever, and there is like, okay, I'm ready, or it's my time, or I'm going to finally make the switch to get over onto the agency side. The attractiveness of agency positions, as I've seen it from candidates, has had a significant boost. And I'm not a sociologist to say why that is. But the first thing I would say is if you have an interest in the agency side, it is way more competitive than it was a year ago. So just be prepared for that reality. We just opened up 3 positions, and I have never seen so many applications in my whole life. It's crazy. So because of that, the thing that you have to do, and I know this is particularly difficult for creatives who or people who work in creative spaces, or account management, project management, strategy, all that kind of stuff, is we wear our hearts on our sleeves, and our work is very close tied into our identity. But the reality is, to stand out from the crowd, you have to show up like you really want this. And I see so many candidates who are showing up with this like, well, I'm just going to be really aloof and flirt with you and tell you my talking points. And I'm like, you know what? Get out of here. Honestly, can I end this interview after 5 minutes? Because I'm done with you. Because if you don't want this, if you can't find it in you for 20 minutes on an initial screening interview to tell me why this matters to you in a way that shows some heart and some passion, then why should I give a crap, honestly? And again, I have been on the other side of the fence. I have been on the interview circuit. I know how exhausting that is to keep putting your heart out there for job after job after job after job. But if you want the great jobs, you have to show up with that level of heart, particularly in the agency world, because as agencies, we are trying to find really differentiated talent, stuff that's going to move the agency further into the differentiated space. And we're not going to find that by people who check boxes.
Right. And what did you call it before? What kind of Olympics did you call it?
Rejection Olympics. I mean, I get, right? Like, y'all are exhausted, right? Most of the people on this call who are watching this, live are like, ugh, I'm tired. I either have a job and I'm searching as my second job, or I'm stressed because I'm in between. I get it. And it has to be, and you have to do everything you can do to have the emotional resiliency to, for 20 minutes or 30 minutes on a screening call, show up. Show up, show up, show up.
And I really like what we were talking about before, right? Showing up is part of it, and how do you show up? I think that this is such a nuance, right? We talked about the difference between, being present, being assertive, and when it spills over into this candidate is a major pain in the butt or pain in the ass, since I'm unfiltered, right?
Yes, yes. So, I think part of what you have to show is a ton of emotional intelligence. So treat the hiring manager, the agency owner, whoever it is that you're engaging with a level of understanding of what their life is like. So, for example, I had a candidate, and I am a little worried she's on this call, but if she is, then this is an opportunity to learn. Like, I had a candidate message me across 4 different channels. DM on LinkedIn, DM on Instagram, send an email, put a comment in one of my feeds of like, hey, I don't know if you noticed, but I'm at blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, lady, I get it. Like, I get it. You applied and you want the job. And so did 200 other people.
Right on.
And I am trying to do my very best to show every single one of those people the amount of respect that I can within the bounds of time that I have. Right? Remember that I'm hiring because I have more work than time. Right? If I had tons of free time, I wouldn't be hiring.
Exactly. Make my job easy, thank you. Without, like, I'm not going to follow up. And I like also what you were saying about who owns, your neurological responses.
Yes. I was saying to Lauren on a previous call, Lauren and I are like rehashing all of our greatest hits from a previous call, but you all get them in the digested format, so it's good. That I'm a big proponent, if you read my feed, if you see the comments I make, I'm a big proponent that agencies need to do better. And hiring groups need to do better, and companies need to do better in terms of the way they treat the candidate process. And I'm trying to do better, and we make mistakes, and every time we hire, I want it to be better. And at the same time, like, I am not responsible for your neurological activation. The fact that you're freaked out and you have anxiety and you're worried about whether I'm noticing you or not, that is your problem. It is not my problem. And you have to hold that. You have to be able to sit in that discomfort, not just because that's the rules of the game when you're in a hiring process, but because if you can show that you can hold that tension of putting yourself out there and living with the weight of me responding back to you, it shows you have the emotional resiliency to be a great hire. Right. Model that for me. Show me your emotional resiliency. Show me your ability to have bandwidth in a complicated and difficult situation, because this isn't going to be the last one. Exactly. So show me how you do it with this one.
I think the other piece of that, and now I'm at it, is that we also want to make sure that even if they are not interfacing with every single client, that emotional intelligence also spills over to any interaction within the internal agency. So I hear sometimes candidates say, well, is this a client-facing role? Well, I can respect that you're asking that for a reason. However, the clients are also internal.
Yes.
Your partners are people that you also need to wade through in order to be able to bring in that emotional intelligence. So I just want to capitalize on the 2 points that you made with respect to the things that most candidates need to know that they don't do. Number one, and I understand this video is not showing, so my apologies, technical difficulties, but hopefully you guys can hear. We're wearing all kinds of red and orange and all that great stuff. So number one is bring in the emotional intelligence, right? Bring in the emotional intelligence, and that means that you must be able to, read the situations and yourself.
Yes.
So not too much, not too little, and also demonstrate a level of serious enthusiasm. If you need to kind of pepper that down as the interview goes on, I know you think that, oh, you're so creative and you're so cool and you don't want to show your cards, but that can also work against you. So I think that there's a level of importance with both of them. So please. Continue.
Yeah. So and there's some stuff in the comments here about being more specific about differentiated candidates and how to differentiate yourself. So, I always think, and I'm actually very empathetic about this, but I think it's important that we acknowledge the humor of this, that marketers are often one of the very first people to say, hey, how do I differentiate myself?
Exactly.
When differentiation is actually the job of marketing. So let's just acknowledge that we all know how to do this for someone else, for a company, for another thought leader, but we struggle with doing it for ourselves, right? We all understand the theory of differentiation. We all know that. That's how we got successful in marketing. But we struggle with it to do it for ourselves. Why is that? The reason is because we don't have the courage. It's not because of lack of information. You know yourself well enough to know what's different about you. The question is, can you show up with the courage to say what's different about you? And then let the chips fall where they may.
So can you like even give an example of somebody that really demonstrated a level of courage and showed up that won them, some kind of recognition or landed a position?
I have an example in my head. I will say this is in the midst of an existing hiring process, so I'm going to blur some of the specificity, but I'll give you the gist of it so everybody can learn from it. So I had a candidate show up for a currently open position, and that candidate, what I loved about the initial, we had a 20-minute screening interview scheduled that went for an hour, and we spent a lot of that time with him talking to me about an area of his passion in marketing that was outside the scope of the job we were hiring for. And I will tell you, by the end of that call, I was like, I wonder if we should expand this role to include that work that he was describing. Because I was so enamored with his passion for it. Now, we're probably not going to do that, but it has secured him a spot in the process. We have had a follow-up communication where he has said, hey, my interest in this role is bigger than that area of my passion area, and I just want to be a part of what you're doing. And so please, keep me in the process. And I'm like, yeah. I want somebody in the room who 6 months from now, a year from now, is going to remind me and say, hey, remember when we talked about X, this other area of marketing or this other area of growth that we could have? Can I put some energy into that and make our offering better? Like that, I want that. I don't want somebody who read the job description and then spends the interview reading the job description back to me.
Oh God. Right.
Oh, you said you wanted this. I am actually that. You said you wanted this. I'm that to a T. You said, I take the risk. Nobody's a fit. Let's just maybe say that at the midpoint of this 30 minutes. Nobody's a fit. Okay? So let's all just release the illusion that you're trying to find fit, that you're the perfect job for you or you're the perfect person for that job. Nobody's a fit. What we're looking for is a Venn diagram. Is there enough overlap and enough inspiration from that overlap that says we can build something together that can hopefully actualize and make that overlap tighter over time?
Awesome. And that leads into the next question, right? That Venn diagram that you're talking about, the spillover between multiple circles, right? Nobody is all this, all that. So how does your team assess the multiple Venn diagrams?
Yes.
Right? And says, you know what? This guy, this woman, we cannot pass them up.
Yep.
And what role do you have in making that decision, right? What role, like as the founder, as the owner, how much do you let the team make that decision versus how much weigh-in do you have?
Yeah. So, I named my agency Culture Craft for a reason, because I'm obsessed with culture. And I think that brand has everything to do with culture. And so for that reason, when we're hiring, culture is a big part of how we think about it. And so we put a fair amount of weight on panel interviews with the team. And that is really a two-sided purpose. One is I want the candidate to see the team as they really are. So the team is not there, oh, hey.
Oh, hey, I just figured how to remove the overlay. Thank you, Sonal.
Oh, man, now I feel like we're this like legit. I don't know, the audio was fun too.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I want the team to show up as they actually are, so that the candidate, when they get hired, doesn't show up and goes, whoa, these people are a lot. Because I don't think any of my team is on. If they are, I love you guys, you're a lot. I mean, like, it's a big personalities, big opinions, big feelings. And so I want candidates to see that and go, okay, I can thrive here. I can gel with these people and be excited about what they're excited about. I mean, I will tell you, one time we hired a senior graphic designer who's still on our team today. And I think the thing that got him hired in the group interview was we asked him what his current cultural influences were that was inspiring to him. And he said he was watching the reruns of the Carol Burnett show. And I about jumped through the screen and kissed him because I love Carol Burnett so much. And to have like a 26, 27-year-old guy like raging for Carol Burnett, I was like, this is so in our wheelhouse of who we are. And so that those group interviews where it feels like, hey, are you in the room and are you a part of this group? Those are very, very powerful. And I let the feelings of the team from those panels definitely influence me. I want that to influence me. Because I come in with a gut feeling, but I've hired so much in my 20-year career. I know that the interview itself, particularly one-on-one interviews, are so artificial. Like, it's so hard to break through the artifice of it. So the team is part of how I break through my own biases that tend to show up in the interview.
Right. And so one of the things I love about Nick is that he is very transparent about loving to be wrong.
Oh, God.
And a lot of hiring managers look for that. Look for those people. I've often asked people, when was the last time that you legitimately said you were wrong and you did something about it? Not, I'm sorry, but I'm wrong and did something about it. Yeah. And I think that what you do in your agency and your just ethics and practice is to involve the other people and allow them not just to have the lip service of saying something, to actually make the influence to steer things in another direction. And you're very public about that in your posts, which of course is more endearing to you. I mean, you're not doing it obviously for that reason, but I think that what it does is it establishes trust.
Yeah.
You're looking for trust in your candidates too.
Yes.
And trust is saying to somebody, hey, I love the Carol Burnett show, which could, to some hiring managers, mean, oh my God, you're so old, and it could indicate that you were watching shows from the 70s.
Yeah.
But in your case, it was real and it did the trick. That's how I feel about the Bee Gees. Come on.
Yeah.
That's along the same lines. And so you let your team weigh in and let your team also show up as they are, so that the candidate isn't under some grand illusion that this is like, the perfect environment, because there ain't no such thing, right? Nope. There's no perfect candidate, and there's no like, I'm not a fan of the dream job, just to be unfiltered, because I don't think that it really like exists. I think we all have a dream, and whether it shows up in the job or not, guess what? That's up to you. Yeah. So, you get to define what that is, not the job defines that it's a dream.
Absolutely.
lastly, and very important, because you know I am a relationship like freakazoid, and I believe in relationships beyond and above. Tell us, for real, what part do referrals have in your hiring process versus the candidates that are coming in through your portal, and other maybe points of access, maybe if somebody reaches out to you on LinkedIn? How does that work?
Yeah. So, I mean, I mentioned earlier that the interview process is by definition artificial. And I try to do everything I can do to break up that artificiality of it, but it just is what it is. And so a referral is part of what can break up that artificial environment, because this person, somebody has seen you in your real life. They've seen you at a job. They've networked with you. They've had coffee with you. Your kids play soccer together or whatever it is. They have some like human engagement with you. And because there's so much on the line in an interview, I can't really trust that the person I'm talking to in an interview is really you. I wish I could, but I can't, because you are too bound up in the need to perform. And I understand why. I don't blame candidates for that, but I know I'm not really getting you. So a referral is somebody who's gotten a much more authentic version of you. So it's so powerful. Now, the referral source doesn't understand the job that we're hiring for, doesn't understand the scope of the work, doesn't understand the business needs that are driving it. So a referral's no guarantee, but it does carry a lot of weight, because it's like, okay, I can get the one thing I can't get in an interview, is that this person has seen you in real life and has positive feelings about you.
Right. I hate to say this, but I believe the interview process is often a conversation between two liars.
Yes.
And so don't make one of them you. You can't control the other person, but make sure, if that conversation, and you buy into this idea that it's everyone's on their best behavior, right? Like the very beginning of your dating life.
Yes.
Everybody's, blotting their mouth and doing all the right things. Remember that and look under the hood and continue to get involved with that sniff testing. So in your case, as the founder, hiring manager, leading the team, what I hear you saying is that referral is not a slam dunk, right? You're not like, okay, this person's hired, but what it is an opportunity for that candidate to actually have a leg up, a push closer to what it means to be seen as the real thing.
Yes.
Because other people are weighing in on that, and that person who's provided the referral, right, is taking a stand and putting themselves forward and saying, hey, by the way, this person rocks, and you should definitely have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
So I really, really appreciate the fact that, this is not just, a random thing. Use your referrals, build relationships. It is not the easiest method, but it is the most fruitful. And so, anything you want to say on that, and then I want to just hit up one or two of these questions.
Yeah, really quickly, the other thing I would add to that, and I know this is stuff that Lauren coaches in her coaching group, so I'm just reinforcing that. If you're not in her coaching group, this is my plug. Get in one. She's going to beat the bullshit out of you, and that's what you need. But one of the things that you need to do is start building relationships with groups that you want to work for. So we're a small agency. I mean, we're going to be probably 10, depending on how many hires I make, 10 or 11 people after this round of hiring. We're not big. And so it's a huge risk for someone to reach out to me and be like, hey, love what you do. Is there anything that's a fit for me? Because I don't have 1,000 open positions. But the reality is, we've had people who love what we do and have said, hey, if anything comes up that looks like me, please keep me in mind. And that list is my little treasure box. And so if you have a group that you love and that you would love to work with or for, start networking now. Start building those relationships now. Speaking of referrals, we got probably our best referral for one of the open positions from somebody in my little jewel box. I haven't found a job for Tay yet. I really want her. I've told her that. I want you, but I don't have a job for you yet. But she's like, hey, but I do have this person who does fit one of your roles, and you need to hire her.
So your candidate referred another candidate.
Yeah.
Okay, that right there is exactly this is if anyone is not taking notes, you want to get in with the agency, the company, pick up the opportunity to help them out, and it will come back around. So don't just say thank you and walk away. Say, you know what, I'm not a fit. I have somebody that I really think is best aligned for this. Come on, the ultimate win-win.
Yes.
You're helping a friend. You're providing, the hiring manager or recruiter an A+ candidate, and it puts you in good standing and good light. So don't leave that stone unturned.
I mean, and Tay is her name. Tay really understands some of the priorities we have, particularly around hiring people of color. And so she was intentional. And sometimes it's hard to find good candidates, outside the normal group. And she was intentional and said, hey, Nick, this is a woman of color who's had a very difficult time breaking into advertising. And I know you appreciate that kind of a candidate. Please talk to her. And I was like, oh my God, you're speaking my love language here. Like, let me talk to her now.
Hiring manager love language. You didn't know you were getting this. This is awesome.
So, I know you got a couple more questions and we've got a little bit of time left. So let's get
Absolutely. Let's just hit this last one. Somebody talked about the jewel box. Yay, Michael. And then the question was, I'll hit this one up. When interviewing in a group, how does an introvert perform? Is there a chance that the introverts will be overwhelmed by the extroverts?
No.
No.
I mean, so I'll be honest. I think that whole introvert extrovert thing is really artificial. I know some of us get more energy from talking and engaging with people. Some of us get more energy from being alone. There's a paradigm there. It's fine. No, we're not, by doing a panel interview, we're not looking for the social butterfly. That's not the point of the panel interview.
Right.
The point of the panel interview is these are your future colleagues. Do you make sense in this circle? And this circle includes both introverts and extroverts already, if you're going to use those categories, which I generally wouldn't. But this circle includes diversity already. So you will add to the diversity. But do you make sense in this circle? Now, if you're being hired at a company where they run a shit group interview and everybody's talking over each other, well, then don't work there. That's dumb. But if it's a healthy and a well-run, interview, then it should be fine, because the whole point is to get a sense for the circle that you're going to be in after you get hired.
Awesome. That's right. You don't have to pretend that you're so extroverted, whether it's a panel or not. Every company needs a balance.
Yes.
Not everyone wants to be an extrovert, and there's no badge value in being an extrovert. I think that there's some kind of misunderstanding that people who are extroverted are necessarily, the be all and end all, and that introverts need to apologize. That's not true. That is not true. There's a lot of evidence that shows that introverts are excellent, excellers, in fact, of listening. And we need listeners. So, work with what you have, not with what you don't have. Don't apologize for that. And then lastly, we're going to hit Shelly's questions. Thanks, Shelly, for being here. How much prep is the team doing ahead of time to figure out what they want before the interview stage? Great question.
So this is where I'm probably a little weird, which I'm perfectly comfortable being. I don't expect the team to understand the intricacies of what we're hiring for in terms of job fit or role description or experience or those kinds of things. I don't expect our lead copywriter to be an expert on what it takes to be a great account manager. That's not a realistic expectation for him. What I want him to do is to test for, can you work with this person? And knowing what challenges we've had, can you imagine them helping us solve for those challenges? Because everybody on the team feels the challenges of the lack of our talent shortage. So I don't want them to have some objective, like I am now being a hiring manager in training. I want them to sit in their really subjective seat that is biased and uninformed and speak to me from that seat. So I actually don't have them do a lot of prep.
Okay, so come in cold and get a clean read.
Yeah, I mean, I have them come with a couple questions. Plan for a couple questions.
Right.
Yeah.
Not overkill.
Yep.
All right. So our blast and a half is actually at its max. So
Yes.
we are going to sign off and say thank you, LinkedIn Live. Thank you, everyone who helped me with all of the video snafus. Yeah, LinkedIn newbie. And Nick, I was calling you Rick. Oh, Nick, we love you and thank you. Thank you for being here today, for setting the tone for this LinkedIn Live, and also for all of the amazing things that you gave away. Don't forget to follow Nick, follow his content, and if you're interested in working at Culture Craft, come there with the insights that he has shared. So you have a leg up. All right. Have a great day, everybody.
Real quick, Lauren, I have a question that people have asked me. Is this going to be recorded, and can people access it if they couldn't be here for the live?
Yes, it is. There will be a replay, and I believe that it's in my feed, but happy to send it to you.
Okay, perfect. I will get it distributed for folks who couldn't get here. Thank you so much, everybody.
See you next Wednesday. Bye, everyone. 9:01. Thank you, thank you, thank you.